The floor is cold beneath your skin. You do not move. Not yet. The air tastes of old ash and sweat, the kind that never leaves the walls. Somewhere nearby, a rat scurries across broken tiles. The torches in the corridor flicker, casting shadows that don't match the shapes that made them. You are not dreaming, but you must be. Because tonight, you fall asleep in the year 73 BC. Not as a senator or a soldier or some golden-skinned youth with wine-stained lips and a crown of olive leaves. No, nothing so fortunate. Tonight you are a slave. Property of a Roman citizen, nameless, collar-bound, purchased for less than a single amphora of oil, your worth measured in labor, in obedience, in silence. You are one of thousands, cooks, scribes, gladiators, tutors, whores, cleaners, laborers, bodies used until broken, then swept aside. No rights, no rest, no future that belongs to you. But still, you breathe. You wake. You endure. And for now that sep's enough. So lie back. Let the memory of the modern world fade. The sandals are heavy. The ropes chafe. The iron collar presses against your throat. But you still hear, and the day is about to begin. Sleep is a luxury, but we will take you there. Eventually, you sleep where you're told. That is the first lesson. You are not a person. You are a tool. Tools don't choose where they lie when the work is done. If there is space, you lie there. If there is not, you curl around your own limbs and pretend the stone floor is softer than it is. Tonight there is space. A corner of the ergastulum, the slave quarters built below the villa, where the walls are damp and the ceiling drips cold, reminders that the masters live above. You do not know how long this corner has been yours. Time doesn't move here, only shifts. Only dawns and dusks and orders barked from throats that will never know thirst like yours. The straw mat beneath you is too thin to matter. It stinks. Of mildew, of rat piss, of the sweat of whoever lay on it before. You stopped complaining weeks ago. Or was it months? You do not remember. Complaints are for those who have something left to lose. You keep your sandals on when you sleep. Rats. You've felt their teeth before. Soft at first, like a tickle, then pain, then blood. You still walk with a limp. No one asked why. The iron collar never comes off. It digs into your neck when you turn on your side. So you sleep on your back now, staring up into the dark where mold stains the ceiling in shapes that might be gods or demons, depending on how tired you are. You used to sleep beside others. 2 men and a girl. One was sold, one died, one disappeared. You didn't ask. You've learned not to get close. Bodies come and go here, like firewood, used up, replaced. Sometimes, if the work was brutal, and it usually is, your dreams come fast, vivid. You're not here anymore. You're in a field, running, no chains, no yelling, just sun and wind. Then you wake, and the collar is still there. You once tried to count how many nights you'd spent like this. You lost track. The numbers became meaningless, like birthdays, like names. You don't use yours anymore. The overseer calls you boy even though you're not. The cook calls you it. The others call you nothing. Silence is safer. The smells in the ergastulum change with the seasons. In winter it smells of wet wool and fear. In summer, of rot and open wounds. But tonight it smells like sweat, oil, and something sour. Someone is sick. You don't ask who. It's always someone. You hear breathing around you, not snoring. Just breath. Heavy, labored, like an animal chained too long. No one speaks. Even in sleep, they know quiet keeps you alive. You keep your hands tucked under your arms, for warmth, for protection, for habit. One night, someone tried to take your blanket. You still have the scar where his tooth caught your knuckle. You kept the blanket. You learned. There are no windows here. No moonlight. Only the faint glow of oil lamps somewhere down the corridor, too far to reach, too faint to guide you out. Sometimes, you wonder what would happen if you just walked away. Left the villa, disappeared into the hills, changed your name. But the collar, always the collar. The iron bite around your throat, inscribed with the name of the dominus. You couldn't get 5 paces before someone stopped you, before the dogs caught your scent, before the punishment began. You saw it once. A runaway. They caught him. They didn't kill him. They branded him. On the forehead. Thug. Fugitivus. The letters still shine when the sun hits them, raised like blisters on old bread. He sleeps 3 corners down now. You don't out-talk. You don't look. But you hear him cry sometimes. Not loud. Not weeping. Just crying. Soft. Like a song no one else knows the words to. Your eyes close. Not because you're tired. Because your body has given up on being awake. The dreams come again. But slower now. The field is further away. The chains are heavier. You think of your mother. Just a moment. Her voice. Or maybe just the idea of her voice. You don't remember her face anymore. You were young when they took you. You were always young. Still are. Always will be. Because slaves don't set age. They just wear out. Your fingers twitch. You shift on the mat. The straw cracks beneath you. And then stillness. Dark. Cold. Sleep. Or something close enough. Rest now. Tomorrow you rise before the light. You always do. The tunic is rough today. Rougher than yesterday, though maybe that's just your skin. Raw from heat, from salt, from rubbing against the rope that binds your waist like a joke of a belt. You roll out of the straw, stretch your arms, and feel the cloth tug beneath your armpits, crusted stiff with dried sweat. It smells like you, and everyone else who's ever worn it. Because it sits not yours. None of them are. They don't make tunics for slaves. They recycle them, from the dead, from the sold, from whoever no longer needs theirs. That's what you wear now, the ghost of someone else's back, the stain on the hem that isn't yours, the stitch across the shoulder from a tear made by a lash you haven't yet received. You haven't washed it in, you don't know, they don't let you near the basins. That's for the freedmen, for the house slaves, for the ones who get to wear real fabric, linen so thin it flutters when they walk. Yours clings. And when it rains, it sours. It was once dyed brown. Now it seps the color of mud, oil, and hopelessness. The sandals are harder. Leather straps cut across the same places every day. You wrap them in rags when you can steal some, but those fall apart quickly, and then it's just skin against hide, flesh against stone. They once gave you a new pair. When the senator visited, you wore them for 3 days. Then they took them back. You didn't ask why. You've learned not to ask. Your arms are bare, your shoulders too. The sun has baked your skin dark, leathery. You no longer burn, you just harden. Blisters come, then pop, then fade. Skin peels, then grows back thicker. You don't notice anymore. Except in winter. Then you feel everything. The cold crawls beneath the cloth like a jealous lover, clinging to the spaces where your ribs rise too sharply. You shiver while working the fields. You tremble while hauling amphore. You ache for a cloak, even a ragged one. You dream of cloaks sometimes, in colors you don't have names for anymore. A green so deep it could be a forest. A red like pomegranate juice. A black that isn't set mourning, but pride. In the dream, the fabric swirls when you walk. In waking, it scratches when you breathe. Sometimes the tunic tears. You patch it yourself. With twine. With hair. Once. With a thread pulled from your own blanket, if it can be called that. The overseer laughed when he saw it. Called it creative. Then he slapped you for smiling. You don't smile anymore. The collar is the constant. Not made of fabric. Not sewn. Not soft. Iron. Tight. With a ring at the front, in case you need to be chained. You wear it like skin now. You once tried to wedge a piece of wool beneath it, to stop the rubbing. It grew mold in the heat. You kept it anyway. Until they found it and took it away. They always take things away. Even rags. Even comfort. Even dignity. The others dress the same. You don't speak of it. You just glance, nod, move on. You see the lines in their fabric and know where they've been. The sweat marks of kitchen slaves, the ash-gray stains of furnace boys, the wine-colored blotches of the cellars. Your tunic today smells faintly of olive brine. You feel be sent to the press. Long hours, heavy baskets, oil and pulp staining your knees, slipping on stone. You dress for it like you always do. Not with pride, not with care, just with surrender. You tug the tunic down past your knees. You wrap the belt twice. You adjust the collar. You breathe. And for a moment, just one, you imagine wearing silk. You imagine a robe with sleeves too long and embroidery no one understands. You imagine sandals so soft they whisper when you walk. And for that moment you feel human. But only for that moment. Then the horn sounds. The chains rattle. And you remember what you are. The tunic clings again. So you walk out into the light, dressed for the work that never ends. Sleep, later. For now you are dressed. And watched. Always watched. You wake to it before your eyes even open. Not a rooster. Not bells. Not voices. The chain. It moves before dawn every dawn. A long iron clink, rhythmic, slow, deliberate. Like the sound of your name being erased over and over again. You lie still a moment, listening, counting. 5 steps. Pause. Another 5. The overseer is making his rounds. He drags the chain behind him, not because it's needed, but because it means something. A sound of warning. A sound that says, I am awake, and so are you. You do not move until it passes your cell. If he sees you move first, he calls it disobedience. If you move too slowly, it sets laziness. So you time it. With your breath. With the rustle of others rising in the dark. With the scrape of sandals against stone. You sit up, slowly, knees stiff, ankles numb. Someone coughs nearby, a wet cough, one that won't get better. The boy beside you, the new one, still hasn't learned to wake before the sound. You nudge him, just once, gently. It's the only kindness you have left. The chain disappears down the hall. Then comes the second sound. The whistle. High, sharp, cruel. It splits the air like a bone snapping in your hands. It means rise. It means report. It means the day begins now, and no longer belongs to you. You don't seem to speak. No one speaks. You form into a line. One behind another, head down, shoulders low. The air in the corridor is thick with heat already, and the sun hasn't risen yet. Your feet stick to the floor. The stone is damp with something. You don't want to know what. A gate creaks open. Light spills in. And with it, the third sound. The voice. Move. That sets all he says. But it sets not the word. It says the tone. Like your livestock. Or less. You walk. The floor slopes upward. You emerge into the courtyard, where the masters are still asleep. Their windows shuttered. Their dogs fed. You never see the inside of those rooms. But you have imagined them. Silk sheets. Perfumed oils. Jugs of cool water that never run dry. You try not to think about it. Thinking leads to wanting. And wanting is dangerous. You are handed your task. Olive press, again. Better than the quarry, worse than the kitchen. The boy beside you is sent to the stables. He doesn't know what that means yet. But he will. The sun begins to rise. And with it, the fourth sound. The groan of the stones. The press begins its grinding. The air fills with the sour tang of crushed olives and sweat. Your hands already sting from yesterday's blisters. You pick up your basket anyway. Because this is what comes after the sound. After the chain. After the whistle. After the voice. Labor. Always labor. You do not cry. There is no dignity in it here. Only sound. Chains. Whistles. Voices. Groaning stone. And behind it all, your breath. Steady. Defiant. Still yours. For now. So work. Let the sound fade into rhythm. Let the weight of it become a lullaby. And when night comes again, let it be the silence you hear first. Let that silence carry you home. Sleep will come later. But for now, move. You hold it for as long as you can. Not out of modesty. That died the day they branded you. Not out of shame. There's none left to spare. You hold it because the latrine is worse than the waiting. It's carved into the ground, half exposed to the sun and barely covered by a roof of sagging tiles. A row of holes, side by side, stone smoothed by decades of reluctant flesh. No partitions, no privacy, just bodies perched over darkness, trying not to breathe too deeply. The smell meets you before you get there. Thick, wet, sweet in a way that turns the stomach. A mixture of rot, bile and something older, something that doesn't belong to the living anymore. You've learned not to gag. It wastes strength. Just breathe through your mouth, shallow. You squat over the hole. The stone is cold even in summer, and rough against your thighs. You keep your tunic bunched around your waist with one hand, and balance with the other on a crumbling ledge slick with moss and something unnameable. Beside you someone grunts. Another coughs. No one speaks. This isn't a place for talking. This is where dignity goes to finish dying. You watch your own shadow shift along the wall. Sometimes you try to pretend you're somewhere else. A riverbank. A quiet field. A private room with perfumed water and soft towels. Then someone splashes too close. The illusion breaks. They don't give you anything to wipe with. If you're lucky, there's a bundle of old wool rags nearby, crusted, torn, reeking. You tear a strip and hope you don't find blood or worse. You clean yourself fast. Efficient. Like everything else here, your body is just another tool maintained out of necessity, not care. You do not linger. The flies swarm. They always do. They land on your ankles, your shoulders, your face. They drink from the corners of your eyes. You slap them away and they return. Some of the richer households keep slaves just to clean these pits. You saw one once, a boy no older than 10 with a wooden ladle and a cart, emptying waste into a trench that ran behind the stables. He didn't look up. He never does. There are days when the pit overflows, when the rain turns everything to slurry. You remember slipping once, the shock of cold filth soaking your tunic, the sting in your scraped palms, the laughter from the guard on watch. You scrubbed yourself with sand until your skin bled. Still, the smell lingered. For days no one sat beside you in the ergastulum. You didn't mind. Sometimes the solitude is better. Sometimes it's the only thing you get to choose. You stand. Stretch your legs. Wipe your hands on the inside of your tunic, the part no one sees. You step out into the sun again, blinking, hollow. No one notices you left. No one notices you return. You blend back into the line of bodies moving toward the next task, the next burden, the next hour, and the pit behind you continues to fester, forgotten but never empty. Just like you, the day drags on. You pretend you don't smell it on your skin. You pretend you stir clean. You pretend tomorrow it will be different. It once set, but you pretend anyway. Because pretending is the last part of you they haven't broken. So hold your breath. Move forward. And try not to think of where you'll squat next. Rest will come. Eventually. And the smell, even it fades if you stir lucky. Sleep now. Even the flies need silence. You don't remember when the ache began. It might have started with the amphora, the one that slipped while you were hoisting it onto your shoulder, slick with olive oil and sweat. You caught it, barely, but something in your back gave a sharp electric cry that's never stopped ringing. Or maybe it was the quarry. The hours spent hauling stone, your palms shredded, your feet blistered into wet meat, your breath stolen by the white-hot dust that clung to your lungs like guilt. You coughed for a week. You still do. But the pain isn't new anymore. It sits the background noise of your body. It shifts, moves, adapts. One day, it's your knees. Another, your wrists. Your neck never stops throbbing. The iron collar rubs raw when you bend too low. So you bend anyway. Because to stand up straight is to be seen, and to be seen is to be chosen, for harder work, or punishment. You've learned how to move in ways that make you invisible. But even that movement takes a toll. Your fingers are crooked now, not from age, you're not old, just from repetition, from tying and untying sacks, from grinding grain, from scrubbing stone with a brush so worn it's mostly memory. Some days you forget what your hands used to look like. You catch glimpses of them in puddles, scarred, cracked, stiff. You rub them against your tunic. You feel the calluses grind like teeth. You remember once, before all this, when a woman kissed your fingers, you think it was your mother, or maybe someone else. You don't remember her face, only that her lips were soft. No one has touched you like that since. The Dominus doesn't allow his slaves to touch one another. He calls it distraction. You call it what it is, punishment by absence. And so you fold into yourself. Day after day, hour after hour, you carry, you pull, you lift, you kneel, you reach, you bleed, and no one notices. Unless you stop. Then they notice. Then the whip appears. You've seen what it does. The long lash curling through the air like a snake with hate in its fangs. The sound before it lands is worse than the crack. It's the breath before the scream, the pause before the punishment. You've worn its mark, across your shoulder, your thigh, once across your face. The scar is still there, faint, but real. Sometimes the new ones ask how you got it. You don't have my answer. You just keep working, because work is the only thing that proves you're still alive. Even when your body says otherwise. The muscles knot, the joints grind, the breath shortens. But you move. You always move. Because stillness is death. Not always of the body. Sometimes worse. Of the self. And so when the overseer shouts, you rise. When the stones need stacking, you lift. When the cart needs pulling, you lean into the harness like a beast of burden and tell yourself this is strength, not surrender. At night, you collapse. You try to sleep on your back because your side is bruised. You try to sleep on your side because your back is numb. You try to sleep. That's all. And when you do, your body twitches, half working even in rest. Dreaming, maybe, of a day without pain. Not pleasure, just nothing. A body that doesn't hurt. A day you do not drag yourself through. You close your eyes. Your fingers pulse. Your spine hums. And still you endure. Because they haven't taken that from you yet. Rest now. You too break again tomorrow. And rebuild again the day after that. Until there's nothing left but the rhythm of the work. And you. Still standing. The sun is high now, not warm, oppressive. It presses down on your shoulders like another hand, one you can't escape. The dust hangs thick in the air, clinging to sweat and spit and skin, turning everything a shade of dull ochre. The world tastes like stone and metal, and still you work. Until the bell rings. Not for you. For them. For the masters. Somewhere above you, meat is being sliced. Cheese peeled into thin curls. Wine poured into cups that never see cracks. The smell drifts down. Roasted garlic, crushed herbs, fat sizzling over flame. You smell it and feel nothing. Hunger is a memory now, not a need, not an ache. Just a quiet reminder of what you used to be. You are told to stop. That's the gift. Permission to stop. Only for a short while. You sit where you are, on a cracked stone wall that was part of a garden once. Now it's just a place where bodies fold themselves to breathe. The boy beside you, the one from the stables, collapses with a grunt. His tunic is soaked through, the skin beneath red from rope burns. He stares at the ground like it insulted him. Then the bucket arrives. One bucket, passed from hand to hand like a sacred offering. Inside, barley mush. Thick, lumpy, gray. Cold. No bowl, no spoon. You use your fingers. Everyone does. The texture is what you imagine chewed rags would feel like. Sticky, slick, with a bite to it that shouldn't be there. Crushed husks, maybe. Grit, maybe bone. No one speaks. You eat fast because there's never enough. And you eat with your eyes open because the last time you closed them, someone took your share. You don't drink. Not yet. Water comes later. Or it doesn't set. If you're lucky, the overseer forgets to ration it. If you stir unlucky, he remembers. There's a fig today. One. Cut in half and passed down. You don't ask where it came from. You don't ask why. You get a piece smaller than your thumb. You chew it slowly. The sweetness is too sharp. It surprises you. It hurts. Your teeth are loose. Your gums bleed when you press. You chew anyway. Because it tastes like before. For a second. You remember the orchard. The one you played in. Or maybe only dreamed of. Your mother or someone like her called your name from the shade. You looked up. You smiled. The taste is gone now. Swallowed. You lick your fingers and wipe them on your thigh. The boy beside you drops the empty bucket. It rolls. He doesn't swallow it. No one does. There's seps nothing left. You wait. Not for more food. For the order. To stand. To continue. To become a body again. The bell doesn't ring for you. The voice calls instead. Back to it. That seps the phrase. Not cruel. Not angry. Just final. You rise. Your knees pop. Your stomach growls, but only as a reflex. It doesn't expect anything. You carry the memory of the fig like a secret in your mouth. The mush sits heavy in your gut. Your fingers are still sticky. You wipe them again. On stone this time. And you go. Back to the work. Back to the sun. Back to the wait. Sleep will come. Eventually. But not now. Now there is no lunch. Only interruption. And the sound of your own breath, fading. It doesn't set always strike. That sep's the worst part. Sometimes it just hangs there, coiled in the overseer's hand, lazy as a sleeping snake. But you feel it anyway, like a shadow behind your neck. Like a presence you can't unsee. Like the threat of thunder before the sky even darkens. It watches. You never see it move. But you know it knows. It knows when your pace slows, when your shoulders slump, when your eyes flicker just a little too long toward the water basin you're not allowed to touch. The whip is smarter than the man who holds it. It doesn't forget. You once watched it split a man's lip open for dropping a jug, not because of the mess, because of the sound it made. The crash startled the master's wife. She spilled her wine. The whip struck twice. Once for the jug. Once for the wine. The man couldn't speak for days. Blood filled his mouth like soup. He still works beside you, still flinches at loud noises. The whip trained him well. You learn from watching. You all do. It cracks through the air, and your spine reacts before your thoughts do. You flinch. You bow. You move faster. Not because you stir guilty, because you're afraid of seeming like you might be. It doesn't take much. A glance. A stumble. An unfinished sentence. Once a man coughed too loud during prayers. He didn't set walk for a week. The mark stayed longer. A pink blossom across his back, jagged and glistening. It scabbed, then split, then healed sideways. You helped dress it, not because you were told to, because you couldn't stub yourself. He didn't set thank you. You didn't that ask. The whip makes everyone smaller, even the strong, even the proud. You once saw a gladiator cry under it. Big man, muscles like oxen. He stole a loaf of bread. The kitchen slave gave it to him. The whip found them both. Neither fought back. You wonder what it takes to kill that part of someone, the part that resists. Then you realize you already know. You feel it every time you drop your gaze when the overseer walks past. Every time your hands shake when you lift the basket too slowly. Every time you thank them. Thank them for letting you live. That sep's the real trick. The whip doesn't just hurt. It teaches you to be grateful that it might not. And that gratitude, that twisted, broken gratitude, that's what leaves the deepest scar. You lie down that night with the sound still in your ears. Not the crack, not the cry. The silence before it. The breath you didn't realize you were holding. The stillness when everyone around you freezes, waiting to see if they're next. You don't remember sleeping, only waking, and the collar still warm against your throat. You stretch your back, feel the tightness there. You check for blood. None today. But it watches. Even now. Even here. In the dark. Sleep if you can. It sits watching. But maybe tonight it dreams instead. They don't look at you like you are human. Not really. They look through you, around you, past you, like you're fog in the air. Something that might cling to their tunic if they get too close. Something best ignored unless it fails to move out of the way quickly enough. You become background. A moving shadow in a hallway. A smudge behind the fountain. A hand reaching into the basin, then pulling back when the domina steps closer with her silk hem and sandal straps like spider webs. She doesn't see your face. She sees the bucket in your hand. and then nothing else. You've gotten good at this, lowering your eyes at just the right angle, making your body smaller, slower, less there. The masters think this is your natural posture. They don't know it as practice. Survival. The younger ones, the boys in gold-threaded tunics who race chariots between columns when they think no one's watching. They sometimes do see you, but not with understanding, with curiosity. Like they might see a beetle pinned to a board. You are an object to them, but one that moves. That's the strange part. They study you as you carry the jugs, as you sweep the same dust from the same mosaic for the third time that day. Once, one of them asked how old you were. You said you didn't know. He laughed. You laughed too, because you had to. The older ones, the senators, the merchants, the priests who smell of wine and smoke and untouched guilt, they don't speak to you unless you drop something, or unless they're drunk. Then they talk, not to you, at you. Once one called you his favorite lamp. You don't know what it meant. You didn't ask. He wasn't said joking. Even the other slaves look at you differently now. They see the stoop in your shoulders and think it means weakness. But they don't know. It sets armor. Because when you're standing tall, you're more likely to be noticed. And noticed people become remembered. And remembered people become responsible. So you let your spine curl. Let your eyes drift. Let your name fall out of reach. You catch your reflection sometimes. In the bronze of the water basin. In the polished shield of a soldier waiting outside. You startle. Not because it's such hideous, but because it takes you a moment to realize it's you. The lines around your mouth have deepened. The light in your eyes is less. The skin is cracked where it used to be smooth. You don't look sick. You don't look injured. You look used. And no one comments, because no one sees it. To them you are just part of the wall, part of the work, part of the life that supports theirs, invisibly, beneath the floor. Sometimes, though, a child looks at you, a real child, too young to know the difference between ownership and existence. They look at you like a person. They wave. Once one reached out, touched your hand. No one saw. You didn't move. You didn't breathe. But you didn't forget. That night, you washed your hand more gently, as if the gesture had left something behind, as if it could be broken by scrubbing too hard. You stare at the ceiling above your bed of straw. It's not a ceiling, just wood, just the bottom of their floor. You listen to them walk above you. Voices, laughter, doors closing. They don't think of you. Not once. But still, you carry them. You carry their waste, their food, their sandals, their children, and they carry nothing of yours. Not your story, not your name, not your gaze, but you are still here, and you see them, all of them, and that is enough. For now, rest your eyes. They never will. Sleep. You don't ask where they go. You learn that early. The first time, it was a man with crooked teeth, and a voice like wet gravel. He worked in the kitchens, used to hum when he stirred the pots off-key but steady. One night he was there, the next he wasn't. No warning, no cry. Just gone. The others pretended not to notice. You did the same, because asking is dangerous. Questions make you visible, and visibility is a death sentence. Sometimes they vanish at night. You wake and the mat beside you is still warm but empty, their sandals still there, their name still in your mouth, but you don't say it. You chew it like old bread and swallow. Sometimes they vanish during the day. One moment hauling bricks beside you in the courtyard, the next taken by a voice that does not tolerate hesitation. You hear the chain, the bark, the footsteps fading into a direction no one ever returns from. You try to forget their names, but the body remembers. The space they took up, the smell of their sweat, the way they cursed under their breath when the work got hard, the softness of them, what little was left. Sometimes, they come back, but not really. The man who returned from the punishment pit walked with his head tilted too far to one side and never spoke again. You offered him water once. He didn't drink, just stared past your shoulder into a distance only he could see. He lasted another week, then vanished again. for good this time. There are rumors. Always. Some say they're sold, sent to the mines in Hispania, to the arenas in Capua, to the salt flats, where even breathing is pain. Others say they're used for things no one dares name aloud. You hear words in the shadows. Breeder. Experiment. Entertainment. You stop listening, because the truth is worse than the story. The truth is that no one looks for them. No one grieves. No one remembers. They disappear, and the work continues. Their mat is used by someone new the next day. Their tunic is handed to a boy just arrived from Gaul, confused and blinking in the heat. He asks who used to sleep there. You shrug. He shall learn. You once carved a mark into the wall for each one who vanished. A line. A tiny cut in the plaster behind your mat. You stopped after 37. The wall is nearly worn smooth now. And what would you do when you run out of space? Sometimes late at night, you whisper their names. Not aloud. Just inside. A list. A litany. A way to remember that you are not alone in being forgotten. Because one day it will be your turn. The knock will come. The voice will call. The shadow will fall. And someone will wake in the dark and feel the warmth where your body used to be. And say nothing. Because that's how survival works. So you lie still now. You breathe slow. You close your eyes and try not to think of the space you occupy. Try not to measure how easily it could vanish. Try not to wonder who will sleep here next. Sleep if you can. Before it sets your turn. Before someone else wears your name like a threadbare tunic. And your story becomes silence. Sleep now. You stir still here. For now, there is no ceremony. No chants. No fire. No stone. No songs. Just a cart. Wooden. Splintered. Its wheels squeal like starving pigs when it rolls over uneven stone. You hear it before you see it. And when you do see it, you look away. Everyone does. Because the cart only comes for one reason. The overseer doesn't shout when it arrives. He doesn't need to. The silence it brings is louder than any order. You stop what you're doing. You lower your eyes. You pretend you don't notice the way the bodies shift when the cart lurches. They are never wrapped. Sometimes, they are not even clothed. Stripped bare, limbs askew, mouths open like they died in the middle of a sentence no one waited to hear. You recognize some of them. Others you never saw before. But all of them, every single one has the same thing in common. No one speaks their name. They are placed in the cart like refuse, tossed, slumped, bent in ways the body isn't meant to fold. Their eyes are often still open. Flies gather quickly. You once saw a child in the pile. Small, curled, still holding a fistful of straw. You bit the inside of your cheek until it bled. It didn't help. The cart rolls past the courtyard, past the slave quarters, out toward the fields, but not to the fields themselves. There steps a ditch, beyond the olive trees. Shallow, infested, forgotten. That steps where they go. You passed it on errands. You didn't look, but you smelled it. The sickly sweet rot of skin and heat and time. There is no priest. No incense. No hands clasped in prayer. Just a slave assigned to tip the cart, dump the load, cover it with a thin layer of dirt, and return before lunch. The same boy every time. He doesn't blink anymore. You wonder how he learned to hold his breath so long. One day, you ask the overseer what happens if the bodies aren't found right away. He laughed. Then they help the rats grow strong. You never asked again. Sometimes someone is still breathing when they're taken. You have heard the stories, heard the groan, heard the cart rattle harder than it should. You don't want to believe them. But the truth is it wouldn't matter. Alive or dead, they are already gone. They stopped being people the day they stopped being profitable. The cart does not care. Nor do the hands that drag the bodies out of the straw in the early dawn. You once dreamed it was your body in the pile. You were wearing your own tunic. Your eyes were closed. But your hand, your right hand, was clenching something. You tried to see what it was, but the cart moved, and you couldn't hold on. You woke sweating. Your right hand still clenched. Empty. You stretch that hand now as you work. You flex your fingers. You remind yourself, You are still warm, still upright, still breathing. But one day you one said be, and the cart will come, and someone will look away, and someone will pretend they never saw you, and someone else will take your place. The cart will rattle, the ditch will wait, and the world will not pause. So lie down, close your eyes, breathe in the sour scent of oil and heat and rot, because for now your name is still yours, and your body still obeys. Sleep while you can. The cart hasn't set come for you, yet. You never saw him leave. No one ever does. That sets the point. He was there at dusk, hauling baskets, coughing blood into his sleeve, eyes like wet charcoal, and then morning came, and his mat was empty, his sandals gone, the iron collar left behind, lying on its side like a severed head. The room was quiet. Not surprised, just quiet. Everyone knew what it meant. He ran. You didn't say his name. You didn't instead need to. You all knew who it was, the one who always looked at the horizon like it might open up, who worked with just a little too much energy like his strength came from a secret, who muttered things under his breath at night, rehearsing prayers or plans. You couldn't tell. He ran. You didn't smile. You didn't sit cheer. You didn't let's curse him either. You simply chewed your stale bread more slowly and wondered how far he'd get. The rumors arrived before midday. He stole a horse, or maybe a mule, or maybe nothing at all and just ran barefoot through the vineyards. One said he headed for the sea, another said he slipped into the city crowd and vanished. You let yourself imagine it, just for a moment, that he made it, that somewhere right now, he's sitting under a tree washing his feet in a stream, whispering his real name to himself just to remember how it sounds. Then the dogs came. You heard them before you saw them, barking, fast and vicious, unnatural. Then the horses, then the shouting, then the silence again, and then the return. They didn't bring back his body. They brought him, still alive. Barely. They tied him to the post in the center of the yard, not hidden, not quiet. They wanted you to see. You did. They asked if anyone wanted to help. No one moved. So they whipped him. Not the way they whip you when you sir slow. Not the way they whip you when the amphora breaks. This was different. This was message. The lashes fell like curses, each one echoing through the walls. You didn't look away. You couldn't sit, because that would mean imagining it was you. And you weren't ready for that. Not yet. When they were done, he was silent, stripped, broken, burned, but still breathing. They cut off his left ear. That's what they do. To the ones who try. He wanted to run again. Not because he can because next time he won't survive it. They keep him close now. Make him walk the halls where the guests pass through. So everyone sees what happens to those who forget their place. You saw him yesterday. He looked at you. Just once. Not with shame. Not with fear. But with something else. Something harder. Something that said I tried. And somehow, that was worse than if he hadn't set. Because now, you carry the memory of what could have happened. And you know you'll think of it every time you hear the dogs. Every time the night grows quiet. Every time your collar digs into your throat and you wonder how tight it really is. You lie awake longer now. Not with hope, but with the memory of movement. And the ache of a question you can ask aloud. What would it take to run? And would you ever dare? Close your eyes now. You are still here. Still bound. Still obedient. But maybe not forever. Sleep. And dream of open fields. Just for tonight. At first you pretend you fine. Because that's what you've learned. To keep moving until your limbs give out or your breath stops short. And even then you try again. But today the sickness doesn't care about pretending. It starts in your stomach. Not hunger. You know that well enough to name it in 10 languages of silence. This is different. A deep churn, slow and hot. Like something is boiling inside you with no place to escape. Your joints ache. Your skin feels stretched too thin. The back of your eyes pulses. The air smells of vinegar and dung, but that's normal. It's you that's not. Still you rise. Still you report. Still you lift the basket. Step into the light. bow your head. But the world spins. Once, twice, then black. When you open your eyes again, you're lying in a corner. Someone dragged you out of the way. You know that because the stone beneath you is dry. A kindness. The rest of the courtyard is slick from the rain that came and went while you were gone. The overseer didn't stop the work. He never does. Someone else took your task. You don't ask who. You try to sit. You can sit. Your legs are heavy. Your arms feel like meat hung too long in the smokehouse. Your head burns, then chills, then burns again. No one comes. There is no healer, no poultice, no mercy. You lie there for what feels like hours, maybe days. Once someone presses a crust of bread into your hand. You don't see who. It's already stale, crumbling in your fist before you manage a bite. You throw it up minutes later. The vomit is dry, yellow, bitter. Still you try to work the next morning. You fail. Your legs give out again before the steps even begin. This time the overseer sees. He walks past, then returns, then spits at your feet. Useless, he mutters. You don't answer. Not because you stir obedient, because you can set form the words. He raises the whip, but he doesn't strike. Not yet. You hear the phrase you've come to fear more than any blow. Leave it. If he dies, he dies. That seps when you understand. You stir in the space between. Not worth hurting. Not worth saving. Just waiting. For the fever to end. Or for you to disappear. Someone places a rag on your forehead later. Damp. It smells like old soap and something sweet. You don't know who. You're too far under. You dream of baths. Warm water. Hands on your chest. Scrubbing. Not roughly. Not for punishment. For care. You dream of your mother again. Or maybe it's just a memory stitched from other dreams. You hear her voice. Or want to. But the fever rises again. And the world becomes noise. Then nothing. When you wake again, the courtyard is quiet. The fever is gone. But your strength is too. Your arms shake when you try to stand. You do anyway. Because lying down means giving in. And you, sir, not done yet. Not yet. You shuffle to the wall. Use it to steady yourself. No one applauds. No one notices. But the stone is warm in the morning light. And that seps enough. You are still alive. Still not dead enough to bury. So you eat, drink, move. Because next time you might not come back. And there will be no cart for you. Only a pit. Only silence. Only the space you leave behind. But not today. Today, you walk. Wavering, but forward. Sleep tonight, if you can. You have earned this one. Even the sick deserve dreams. You know not to speak of them. Not aloud, not even in whispers under straw, not even when the room is dark and your breath is the only sound in the space beside another warm body. Dreams are dangerous. Not the ones at night, those you can't help. Those come like ghosts, heavy and pale, and mostly forgotten by dawn. No one punishes you for those, not unless you speak them. It seps the other kind that get you hurt. The waking ones. The ones that sneak in when your hands are busy but your mind isn't. When you're hauling water or scraping olive paste or sweeping the same patch of mosaic tile for the 1000th time. They come slow. They arrive with shape. You dream of walking away. Not running. Just walking. Past the pillars. Past the gates. Past the walls. No shouting. No blood. No dogs. Just air. Space. Silence. You dream of your name. Your real one. The one you had before the market. The one your mother used to sing when she still remembered songs. You dream of food. Not feasts. Just enough. Warm bread. Thick with olives. A soft boiled egg. Not because you stole it. Because it was given. You dream of skin without chains. Wrists without iron. Feet without calluses. You dream of someone looking at you and seeing you, not what you can carry or what you cost or what you failed to clean. But those are the dreams that hollow you. The ones that leave you brittle when you wake. Because you cannot keep them. They don't fit in this world. You try to lock them away, bury them deep under obedience and duty and whatever shred of numbness you've learned to hold close. But they find cracks. They bloom. You once made the mistake of speaking one, just one. You told another slave, one night when your ribs ached from coughing, that you sometimes dream of mountains, of green, of a place without dust. He didn't say answer. He just looked at you like you were stupid. Or worse, dangerous. He never spoke to you again. The next morning your mat was moved to the edge of the room, just a few feet, but far enough to know you still had made a mistake. The villa punishes more than disobedience. It punishes hope, even silent, secret, shapeless hope. Because if one of you believes in more, then maybe two of you will. Then maybe five. And then maybe someone runs. And then maybe the dogs come. So the system builds itself on dreamlessness. The good slaves, the ones who survive longest, are the ones who have nothing left to imagine. You're trying to become one of them, but you still flinch when the wind feels soft. Still pause when a bird sings outside the courtyard wall. Still taste something like memory when you pass the grapevines, and for a moment you're somewhere else. You're failing. That's what you tell yourself. You're failing at forgetting. And yet, maybe failure is its own kind of victory. Maybe the part of you that still dreams is the part of you that hasn't died yet. The last seed of something human, hidden under dirt and blood and repetition. You lie down again. The straw pokes your skin. The cold finds your toes. The cough lingers. But inside, under all that, there is a tree, green and tall, growing without permission. Close your eyes. No one can take that. Not tonight. Sleep, and don't tell anyone what you see. It once set be your name. That was taken the day your feet touched Roman soil, swapped for a sound they could pronounce, for a label easy to bark across a courtyard. You tried to hold the old one for a while, curled in your throat like a stone, but it dissolved, slowly, quietly, under orders, and lashes and time. It won't be your things. You never had any. The tunic you wear once belonged to a man who drowned in a vat of dye. The sandals, 2 sizes too small, were pulled off a corpse before the flies came. Your mat has been slept on by 4 others before you. You can feel their shapes still pressed into it like ghosts with sore backs and nothing left to say. It won't be children. If you had them, they were taken, sold, scattered across provinces like seed to land that will never bear your fruit. You see them sometimes. Boys with your chin, girls with your mother's hair, but you do not speak. It's safer to pretend they're strangers. You do not weep for them anymore. You've run out of water inside. It once be a grave. They don't mark your body when you go, just a hole, shallow and quiet, dirt barely covering your mouth. If you're lucky, some days there's not even that, just the ditch, the smell, the silence, maybe a cart to carry what's left. So what's left? A whisper maybe. Among the others, a breath passed from mat to mat. Someone remembers the way you sang that one time when you thought no one was listening, or the way you mended that boy's sandal with a strip of bark, and he didn't limp that week. Maybe they remember your laugh. Maybe they remember the silence after it vanished. Maybe they don't remember at all. But you do. You remember the girl who shared her last crust, the man who bled and still smiled, the child who traced patterns in the dust even when the sun beat down like punishment. You carry them, inside you, until you can sit. And then, when your breath grows shallow and your eyes lose their grip on the light, maybe what you leave behind isn't anything anyone can touch. Maybe it sets just this: a rhythm, a habit, a mark in the air where your work used to be. The way the basket feels lighter in someone else's hands because you taught them how to carry it right. The way someone bows their head not just from fear, but because you once told them. The way someone breathes just a little deeper at night, because they're lying where you once lay, and something about that straw feels a little warmer. It sets not legacy. It's not glory. It sets not even memory. It sets residue, and it sits enough. Because it sets all they didn't set take. Lie still now. There's nothing more to hold. Let the day fade. Let the story slip. Sleep and join the thousands who came before. You are forgotten, but not gone. Not yet. You smell the smoke before you see it. Faint at first. Almost sweet. Not the usual stink of olive press runoff, or the black, greasy pitch from the lamps. This smoke is older, drier, like bark and forgotten parchment. It curls into the morning with no warning, dancing above the clay rooftops like a signal no one understands yet. You stir hauling water when it starts. The bucket hits the ground, spilling what little was left, but no one yells. Everyone is looking at the sky. That color isn't normal. Too orange, too alive. A cloud shaped like a mouth yawning open. Then the shouting begins. Not slave shouting, not the barked orders or panicked prayers. This is Roman shouting. High voices, urgent, tearing at the corners of command. The masters are afraid. And just like that, everything shifts. Because when they sit afraid, you aren't set. For once, you freeze. So does everyone else. A beat, two, then chaos. The villa is wide. A small kingdom of marble lies, decorative cruelty and forgotten corners. But the fire is faster. It has no orders to follow, no master to please. It eats everything. Wood beams, curtains, oil jars. It licks the stone like it wants to taste history and spit it out. You see people running. A boy trips, someone you shared straw with once, and no one stops, not even you. You're already moving, barefoot across scorched mosaics, past the screaming kitchen girls, past the marble statues that once looked down at you like gods. The heat grows teeth. It snaps at your back. The air is thick now, full of ash and fear. You duck into the corridor behind the atrium. You know this place. You've scrubbed it 1,000 times. Your body knows where to turn even when your eyes don't. There sets an opening. A door usually locked. Today, it's open. You hesitate. Not out of fear. Out of confusion. You're not supposed to have this choice. But the fire doesn't set weight. So you run. Past the fig trees. Past the fountain with the cracked rim. Past the broken statue of some Roman general whose name you never bothered to learn. You are outside. Just like that. And no one stops you. Because no one can. The slaves are scattering, like seeds on wind. You see them running in every direction, faces twisted with disbelief. Some are still clutching tools. Some are barefoot. Some are crying. Some are laughing. You don't know which one you are. The villa is burning behind you. The roof collapses. The sky turns red. And in that moment you feel nothing. Not freedom. Not joy. Not sorrow. Just space. And air. And the strange awareness that the place that held you for so long is now just a column of flame and memory. What happens next? You don't know. You have no map. No plan. Only your feet. Only this road. Only this breath. But for the first time you have something else too. A beginning. Not a good one. Not a safe one. But yours. And that steps enough. You walk into the dusk, unsure of where the stars are. But they are there. Somewhere. And tonight, you once set be told when to sleep. You all sleep when your body tells you. When the road ends. When the dark becomes soft again. And when the world at last forgets the sound of chains. The road behind you is long. Longer than time can carry. It stretches across dust and stone and cruelty, across lashes and mats and empty bowls, across the laughter of others while you bled quietly in corners, across names you once held and voices you've since forgotten, across years lived in someone else's shadow under someone else's rule. Now there is no road, only silence, the kind that doesn't announce itself but settles, like mist, like memory. You are not walking anymore. You are still. Somewhere, a forest, maybe, or a ruin, or the side of a hill that no one names, where wild herbs grow and the wind doesn't know you were ever a slave. You sit. Your hands, calloused and cracked, rest quietly in your lap. They do not ache. They do not serve. They simply exist. There is no overseer now. No orders. No sandals. No tunic soaked in someone else's sweat. Just skin. Just breath. Just the soft sound of your ribs rising and falling like they belong to you again. You look up. There is no sky you have to beg. No God whose silence you must interpret as judgment. Just stars. Scattered. Burning. Unconcerned. You feel small beneath them. but not worthless, just part of the same vastness, just as lost, just as temporary. You do not pray. You do not need to. There is no one watching, and that is finally a mercy. What steps left of the villa is ash. What steps left of your name is wind. What's left of your story, if anything, is dust on another man's sandal, carried by accident, forgotten before sunset. But you are not afraid, because for the first time you do not have to be remembered. You do not have to be useful. You do not have to be strong. You only have to rest. You lie down beneath a crooked tree, cradled in the dirt like an offering with no altar. Your breath slows. The wind is gentle. There are no wolves at the door. No heat in your bones. No whip in the morning. Just dark. And silence. And the steady return to nothing. You survived. And now you are allowed to disappear. Sleep. No one remembers your name. But that sep's okay. You stir free. At last,